Okay, so hi everybody to another one of our fireside chats. Haven't done one for a while, so might be a little bit cranky with it, but hopefully you'll enjoy this one. It's actually quite an important piece of the work that we do, and I think we don't realize how important this part is. So today we're going to be speaking to Neetu Gill. She's a counselor, a psychotherapist whose work centers on shadow work and inner child healing. Her journey into this field began with her own deep self-inquiry, a search for meaning shared by ancestral questions, spiritual conditioning, and a desire to understand the emotional patterns that shaped her life. Doing her own shadow work, she discovered the profound impact of meeting the inner child, understanding the inner critic. I think a lot of us have experience with the inner critic, recognizing the unhealed adult within. And her personal transformation has inspired her mission to guide others as they navigate their own emotional landscapes and reconnect with parts of themselves that have long been unheard of and unseen. And again, I think that's another part, where we're not felt, seen, or heard. So, Neetu, welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. I met Neetu through doing some mantra work. You all know I'm quite into my mantras, so um, we've become quite close over the last few years. So I'm very grateful that you're here joining us today. So, can you tell me what brought you to counseling and psychotherapy and shadow
Thank
work
you.
as well?
Thank you so much, Mona, for a beautiful introduction, and hello to each and every one of you. You being here is also a calling where what you have answered, because this is deep work and it's a gift to yourself, and it's a genuine gift to yourself, which unfolds as you go along. So my journey itself is I've always been curious about life, as to asking myself the questions: what's the purpose of being here? What's the purpose of this human life? What am I supposed to do? Am I doing right? Am I doing wrong? Why am I behaving in a certain way? Why am I feeling certain emotions? Why am I reacting? What does responding mean? So all these questions led me to understand that I don't actually understand myself.
Hmm.
So that was the purpose of joining counseling and psychotherapy course, which I graduated from last year, or a year ago actually. But shadow work is something that I discovered through psychotherapy. And when I dived deeper into it, the first few times it was like touching fire. You touch the fire and you come back, you touch the
Mm.
fire, come back. Um, and over a period of time, I developed courage to face
Mhm.
my fears, face my insecurities, face my vulnerabilities. It was more so, rather than facing them, I developed to accept them, that as they are a crucial part of me as well.
Okay, so most of us understand what counseling is, what psychotherapy is, but the shadow work element, what does that mean? If people are new to what shadow work is, can you explain that to us?
So shadow work is something that our emotional parts that we have to hide to survive in this world. By surviving, what I mean is by belonging, because I wanted to belong to my family, because I wanted a sense of belonging within my friends, but they will not approve of me being sensitive. They will not approve of me being vulnerable. They did not approve of me being jumping in joy. They wanted a stoic friend. So I had to hide these things.
Mm.
Now, shadows, they've not gone anywhere, but
Mm.
they have now taken a back seat. Okay, when you're ready, we are here. But when I started doing shadow work and when I uncovered some parts of myself that I had ignored over years, and when I became accepting of them, it actually liberated me. It actually made me feel, oh my God, why did I not accept them when I did?
Mm.
When I why did I not accept them? The sense of belonging in the exterior world is so much different and very, in my opinion, very void if you do not have that sense of belonging within yourself. So that's where shadow work comes in, where you accept all parts of yourself and you embrace them.
Yeah. And as adult, you can see that. But we often have traumas as a child. And so I'm assuming there's shadow work that's linked with children as well. So is that what's meant by inner child work? Is that?
So inner child work specifically is something that we kind of hid when we were little.
Okay.
That's inner child work. So it comes like in psychotherapy, we talk about from 0 to 7 years of age. The child learns. Its child is like a sponge. It soaks in every single thing, all the messages. You may feel that, oh, it's only a child, is not listening to me or something. But no, child is like a sponge. It's soaking up every single thing. And that's like the spongy, when the child is creating its own world through those messages from 0 to 7, they create a life script. So the rest of the life that they live after 7 years of age to whenever, that they are only playing from that life script.
Right.
Unless until they become aware through shadow work, through inner child work, that, okay, this message I did receive in my childhood, but it doesn't apply to me today. You start reasoning. With shadow work, you become so self-aware of your surroundings and of your internal surroundings, where you think, you know what, this message doesn't apply to me anymore. It doesn't serve me anymore. And it needs to be dealt with.
Okay. So when I introduced you, I said a little bit about inner critic, and you've talked about the inner child. And how does the inner critic work with the inner child? And can you do one without the other? What's that about?
So, inner critic in most, so I'll give you an example. When you had a very hard day at work and you just want to lie down, but there's a voice that doesn't let you lie down. That voice tells you, what have you done today to deserve this lying down? What have you done today to deserve this hot cup of tea? You know, that harsh voice, that judgmental voice, is your inner critic voice.
Right.
Now, that inner critic, we also develop depending on your family environment. It could be the voice of your teacher. It could be the voice of one of your parents or both your parents, for that matter, where you were picked on. You were not allowed to rest. Rest was seen as a laziness. So you subconsciously, you're still carrying the same message that resting is laziness. So that voice, you go and buy a dress, that voice will not let you buy that dress, thinking, I don't think you've done enough to deserve that dress.
Right.
So it's a harsh, judgmental voice, is the inner critic. When our triggers, our wounds become our triggers, right? Something that we did not process in our earlier childhood, in our earlier days, they then become wounds. When through something, say, for example, I texted my friend and she did not text me back in the given time, I now feel abandoned. I now feel rejected. Now that reject and that abandonment is felt by the inner child of me.
Right.
And inner critic can come in and say, told you, you're not good enough.
Right.
Told you, you choose bad friends.
Yeah.
Told you, nobody's going to be your friend. So that's how they marry one another.
Right. Wow. That's a lot. That's so much, that I get that with my girls. The friend hasn't contacted them, and I sent them a message 10 minutes ago. And, that's the effect of having gadgets with you, that you need everything. You need validation straight away.
Straight away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like instant gratification.
Yeah.
You're right.
So how do these parts, inner child, inner critic, unhealed adult, and core wounds connect together? So
So
unhealed
these,
and
was that,
also,
yeah. How they connect with one another is, inner unhealed adult. is, so if we take the same example, I'm 50 now, so if I send a text message to my friend and she doesn't respond, as a 50-year-old, I understand she may be busy. She may be, she's probably in a place where there's no signal.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I can reason, I can use my rational brain. But there is a part of me that thinks, oh, she did that last week. Right? She did that last week as well, and she didn't respond to me. So it's the old patterns. Inner unhealed adult is the old patterns that we have not yet processed. We haven't sat with that part of us and say, okay, where are you coming from? What is it that you need? You know, like when a child comes crying to you from school and say, oh, mom, I had a bad day at school. We don't say to her, him or her, you know what, I'll talk to you later on, maybe 10 years time. We sit them down. We say, okay, tell me what you need. Sometimes they just need to vent it out. It's not like they want any action taken. They don't want us to speak to the head teacher. They don't want us to speak to the other children who are harming them in some way. They just want to vent it out. And that's exactly what we need to do with these parts of ourselves, where we sit with the inner child, we sit with the inner critic. So where are you coming from? You don't apply today. You sit with your inner unhealed adult and say, okay, that was then. It doesn't apply right now. I have grown and I'm here for you today. Because the idea behind doing shadow work is for you not to feel what you used to feel in your childhood.
Okay.
So that's the idea of shadow work.
Okay. We often hear about mother wounds, father wounds, core wounds. And from the surface, like we're all adults here, we understand what they mean. But how does that fit in with the work you do?
So with mother wound, so if somebody praises you and you can't accept the praise, or somebody is where they say, oh, you know, you've done such a good work. I really like your work. Is there something you can do again, or we can work together on something? You doubt yourself, right? You can't take that praise. That usually comes from people who suffer with mother wound, because as a child, you weren't praised for your work. You weren't believed in your work. And now you're doubting, why is the other person believing in my work? They probably want something in return. They think it's transactional, because back then, when you were little, every praise or every relationship was transactional. So you guys might have heard of something called good girl or good boy syndrome, right? So that also links in with this, where oh, if you make me a cup of tea, you're a good girl, aren't you? You're a good girl. Make me a nice cup of tea. You're a good girl. Just to have that minute sense of praise. The child goes and makes a cup of tea, and then fast forward. Now you're doing bigger things from the same mother. So that's a mother wound. If you're seeking validation, if you're seeking safety, if you're seeking safety in a relationship, or if you're seeking protection or reassurance, that usually comes from, as a sign of father wound. Because father's love is what gives us a healthy upbringing, is where you get mother and father's love. If father's love is absent or emotionally absent, father is there in the picture, but he's emotionally absent, where he's working long hours, he goes on business tours, then the father is not there to listen to the child day in, day out. So then he has to do something. They become overproductive, they become overachievers, so that the father will then pay attention to them and say, "Oh, son, you've done a good job." So that usually comes from the lack of father's love. That's a father wound. Authority wound is where if your boss says, you know, quickly send you an email to say, can we have a talk? Can you book this time slot in your diary? And I shall see you in my office and so on so day. Without any real threat in the picture, you start worrying that you're going to get told off. You're just going to get sacked.
Yeah.
Right? That fear kicks in.
Yeah.
Now that fear kicks in because back when you were little, every time you were told that I want to talk to you, you were punished.
Mm.
So that's how it links in.
Mm. And core wounds, what are they?
Core wounds are like our trigger wounds, where all the wounds that we, like people who are people pleasing, we are perfectionism. Everything needs to be perfect.
Mm.
Everything needs to be clean all the time. Like it's either all or nothing. If they don't do a part of a project, they
Mm.
think they're a complete failure. Instead of saying, oh, just that part didn't go well. I've done well. I've done well in 95% of the project, but just that part didn't do well. But they don't. They actually think, no, the whole project is a failure.
Mm. I'm listening to you now, and in my head, like mother wound and father wound, I automatically assume with some very traumatic behaviors or treatments. And actually, what you've described are so subtle that you can live with them and not even know that you've got them because you just don't put two and two together with that, that subtle
Yeah, I
interaction,
mean,
that transactional behavior as a child. You just don't put it all together. So,
no. I mean, I give you another example. Say, for example, if the dad has gone out after a Friday night, with his mates, he's gone out, and the mother has been ringing him, and the father is not answering because he may not have a signal.
mm,
But as soon as the father comes through the door, the mother is now yelling at him, I've been
mm,
fooling you, right? Now the father says, look at my phone. I did not receive any call. Now, and the mother says, look at my phone, how many calls I made. Now, if the child is watching this show, if the child is watching, first of all, he'll say, you always need to have an evidence. Otherwise, you
mm,
will not be believed, right?
gosh,
That's the
yeah.
first thing. The second thing, the child also is watching, like it happens in a lot of families where the parents fight in front of the child, but they do not make up in front of the child.
Mm,
So for the child, it's just like last night they were fighting, this morning they're having coffee together, they're confused. The child is confused. For
mm,
them, it's like, okay, I don't know what happened. Explain to me. And when the child asks for explanation, no explanation is given. It's just, yeah, we made up. Child is not explained.
yeah. Because we often put the child aside, right? They don't understand. They're too young.
Yeah,
We don't need to. Yeah.
explain it to them.
Yeah. So, what is a common myth about shadow work or inner child healing?
Um, Through my work, what I find is people think because of course, inner child work, shadow work is trauma-based therapy.
Mm,
And one thing that comes to my mind is of Gabor Mate. He's he's an expert in
mm,
trauma-informed therapy. He said trauma is not something that particular incident. Trauma is something that did within you because of that incident.
yeah.
So the myth is that people think I'll have to relive my trauma, when in fact it's not.
Okay, that's good.
It's an actual fact, you will achieve the tools to understand yourself better. If I'm reacting in a certain way, or my reaction is disproportionate to the situation in hand, then that's a sign where shadows are actually crying. Look
Mm,
at me, hear me, see me. That's the inner child work and shadow work. What I mean by disproportionate work or disproportionate reaction is like if a child has spilled milk on the kitchen floor, the parent comes yelling at the child,
mm,
even hits the child, saying, why have you done this? But that's a clear sign that the parent hasn't processed their own inner child,
yeah.
because even when they were little, maybe they were subject to this
Treated
kind of
that way.
abuse.
Yeah.
So they're passing it on.
So, what does healing inner parts look like in everyday life? What does it look like for someone?
In one line, it's you start to respond rather than react. That's
Oh.
one line answer. You become very rational, and you become so self-aware,
Mm,
um, self-reflective. Inner child shadow work is self-reflective work. You ask yourself the questions. Is that really me who is behaving here? Or is that my child self who is in play here? So there's
I was just thinking out aloud, really. A lot of the people here do meditation every day, and you almost need to have done this work first before you can add on, I'm working on a goal. Because you still, if you're trying to work on a goal or trying to manifest something and you're dealing with mother, father, authority, wounds, you're almost hitting loggerheads because one thing needs to shift before you can go on to feel like you're worthy or feel like you're accomplishing something, or the project that you've done may have been 5%, didn't work out well, but the 95% you give yourself credit for. It's so important, this work.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I certainly feel we are not broken. We are breaking through when we do shadow work. That's the first thing I tell people, that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anyone. It's just the cards that we were dealt with. Some became aware along the line to say, okay, I need to understand this. I need to understand it. People say, okay, I need to go to a healer. Somebody say, I need to go to a therapist. So we are all trying to find our own way to process these things. But in my opinion, shadow work, inner child work, in my book that I was telling you about, shadows hold inner gold. So this is something, our shadows are the doorway to liberation. We need this work. I personally think each and every person needs to dive deeper within themselves to find their authentic self. Because if you don't have an authentic relationship with yourself, where you're not accepting all parts of yourself, you can't actually run the show. It's just like, if I were to put that in physical terms, it's like you have board of members. All your shadows are board of members, but you hardly meet them. So you're not going to run a successful company. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you hope people take away from working with you or exploring this kind of healing?
What they take away from this is, well, each and every person would be very unique in their own journey, where they're at, what's their goal, why they're here. On a universal level, what they'll take away is self-awareness as to, it's not like I need more, I need to do more. It's nothing like that. It's about, okay, I need to be more. I need to accept myself. Because the other word of healing also is self-acceptance. And shadow work, the self-acceptance is the core of shadow work. You accept all parts of yourself, and then you see the healing just you uncover a lot of, because shadow work gives you the groundwork for major healing episodes.
Yeah. And how has the work that you've done on yourself made you the type of counselor, psychotherapist, shadow work expert that you are?
Expert is big word. I don't think I'm an expert. I'm still on my journey, and I think I will be for a very, very, very long time. What I do think is, I have become less judgmental. Of course, I can do a lot more work on judgment, but what I have achieved, where I've become less judgmental of people. I have become, because I have got a better relationship with myself, I am more accepting of others. Whereas before, I used to react like this in a split second. Now it's like, okay, I have become more aware to understand where they may be coming from. Purely because I was there once. I have gone through, this is the road. It's just like a navigation system within for inner landscape. The shadow work is, inner child work is, it's a navigation system. Purely because I have tread the road, I can now see the signposts.
So this kind of probably dives into the next question, is what are some of the signs that somebody's inner child is looking for attention?
If you can't sit with yourself,
Mm,
that's the first cry of shadow work. Why can't you sit with yourself? What will happen if you did? What's the worst that can happen if you did? That's the first one. Second one, you think the world is not a safe place. The world is terrible. Means you're still working from your old patterns. The glasses that your peers gave you, your family environment gave you. If you think I'm not safe without a man in my life, if you're codependent on people, if you have very loud critic voice, when you have these sort of signs, these are some of the, they're not all of them. There are
yeah.
some of the signs where they say, okay, please sit with yourself. Please listen to the members of the board to
Mm,
run this company successful.
mm. Okay. And if someone's scared or feels overwhelmed, how can they begin this journey?
First and foremost, start very small. Don't go into, okay, you know what, I'm going to finish the book today. And then the next thing you say, you start blaming your parents, you start blaming the world, you start blaming each and every person that's come. I will say when I first started, but because I discovered shadow work through my psychotherapy training, I was, I was blaming the world. I was blaming the world. But I come to a realization that it's not, it's my projection. Is if somebody is behaving in a certain way, it's my projection that they're behaving in a certain way.
Mm,
So what you can do is to start small, to start off with. If you have access to a good therapist, please do, right? Um, have like workbooks, and I have this book. So a
yeah.
lot of workbooks are out there on inner child healing. You can do that, and just listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff.
Mm, okay. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
uh, I'm going to open the floor to questions now from anyone here. If you want to, you can type it in the chat or you can raise your hand and and you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Yeah. No one have any questions? Okay, so Neetu, can you give us some examples of how this can help in a workplace environment or as a mother, a new mother maybe, you're dealing with young children? Um, Give us some examples. Maybe that will help people to see if there are any questions they may want to ask.
Like I said, so this is pretty self-reflective work. So when you're faced in a situation, even in a spiritual sense, if I were to talk in spiritual sense,
Yeah.
also is where you ask yourself, is this mine? The way I'm reacting, is this really me? Or is this something I'm still working from my old pattern
Mm,
where my mom used to treat me this way and I'm treating my child in the same way,
mm,
right? Is this really your wound? Because a lot of people think when they're reacting in a certain way towards their children, unless until you have done shadow work, unless until you're aware of what it can, how it can damage you and how it can benefit you. And if you have had loving childhood, amazing. Absolutely, it's a boon for the child. But
mm,
if you've had troubled childhood, then you are passing on the same trauma to your child. And it's actually in psychotherapy, it's actually called secondhand trauma. So
mm.
your children are inheriting the same wounds as you are.
And like we discussed earlier on, it doesn't need to be a massive trauma. It can be small things like the example you gave of the dad not having answered the phone. It's not a
Signal.
big thing. It's not a big thing, is it, in the scheme of things? But for a child, that
Yeah.
environment, that stress that the body is creating and storing, because we know the body holds the count of the stresses, is just accumulates. So
Yeah, because when I started my therapy, during when we do counseling and psychotherapy, you're also asked to do your have your own therapist
yeah,
to for you to feel what it's like to sit on the other side of the table. So when I asked my therapist, when I went to my therapy, and he asked me, he goes, "Is this yours?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Is this yours?" And he goes, "Do you behave like this because you want to behave like this? Or do you behave in this way because people around you behaved in this way?"
mm,
And I was like, "No, this is inherited."
mm,
So then once you get that self-awareness, you then work through it.
mm,
You take the layers off. You then say, okay, I need to sit with myself. Why am I still behaving in that way?
mm,
Then you're behaving from lack. You're behaving from a void. You're
mm,
not behaving from love. And then when you have developed enough love, self-acceptance with yourself, then you're only giving away what you've got in yourself.
mm. The small T's, aren't they? The small traumas that we deal with. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So I know you have your workbook. Tell us what a person, how they'll use the workbook if they wanted to. If they didn't want to go to, it's something that you can do on your own, right? If you can
It
go
is, it
through
is.
that, yeah.
So I have curated this book, how I went through my journey. So pretty much it says there, we go through the mother wound. We find out what does a mother mean for a child. So simple example is when a child is in mother's womb, I think I do know exactly how long, but when the child is born, the child sees the mother and herself as one unit.
Mm,
The father is then the second person who's actually the first person who's actually introduced to the child.
mm,
So everything that happens with the mother is happening with the child.
mm,
So the child sees, okay, you know what, whatever's going on with my mom is happening with me.
mm,
So then they see themselves as one unit. And when the father is introduced, and if the father is loving and reassuring, they have a different relationship.
mm,
And the child will grow up having a different relationship with them and with self. If, to the contrary, if the child has not received a loving environment from one parent or from both, because a lot of women go through postpartum blues and stuff, so she may be emotionally absent for a period of time.
mm,
Then the child needs to be held and given the love by the other people.
mm,
And that's why back in the day, when people used to say it takes a village to raise a child, and these things are actually true, those sayings are actually true, so that the mother can have a break. Like you said earlier on, what can new mothers do?
mm,
So everybody needs to step up. When the child is born, everybody in the family needs to step up. It's not just mother's responsibility, be it
yeah.
emotional nurturing, mental, or food nurturing. So
Mm,
in this book, we go through the explaining the mother and baby relationship. Then we talk about what is child's journey through mother's eyes. Then we talk about how we can overcome each one of them, what it means and how to overcome them.
mm,
Then we talk about father wound and the same process there.
mm.
Then we talk about inner child, inner critic, inner unhealed adult. This book has got everything that one needs it's a 60 pages long with all the exercises, with all the
Can you
rituals that you need.
can you put the name of the book in the chat and maybe your email so people can get in touch with you too if they wanted to buy
Of
a
course.
copy of it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'll do that now.
Olga, was there anything else you wanted to ask? I know you've asked about the name of the book. No? Mm.
And you can contact me on screen.
I'll put your number in if you want as well.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions after that? I think it's got me thinking, yeah, in a way that I probably didn't before. Um, and that self-awareness bit is so important, and it's kind of not easy, but it's a really good start to just, is that yours? Question yourself
Is
before
this
you
yours?
react. Is this mine? If it's not, why am I doing it? Why am I going from, 0 to 100 if it's not my stuff?
Yeah, you're right. And like I'll say this, I can't emphasize this enough. Shadow work is not about blaming your peers. They did their best. They
Yeah.
gave their best. They did their best with the information they had, with the upbringing they had.
Mm,
The only thing now is that you are aware through a lot of platforms, a lot of channels, a lot of books, a lot of information out there. But if you still choose to behave as you did 40 years ago, then there's a question to be asked. Why can't you change, even though you are expecting your parents should change, but you can't bring a change?
mm,
Yeah. So it's paramount that you become aware of your responsibilities towards yourself.
mm,
And shadow work also is about, I think it actually stops you from seeking outside of yourself in a big way. It has for me, because I have come to realize that whatever I was seeking from outside, I needed to give that to myself. The
mm.
more I gave to myself, the more I stopped seeking from outside.
I love that in the work that we do in this group and others as well. I feel it's very much about starting to become a bit sovereign in our behaviors and to start to take radical responsibility for everything. And in that, I feel I gain more power. If it's up to me now, if everything's up to me, if I not fault, but if I can see where I'm responsible for stuff, I can change it easily rather than thinking that there's something outside of myself that I need to do, be, have, achieve in order to feel full and complete. So I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's just like, a lot of people, we go into various modalities. And
Mm,
that's another thing I did in the past, where I would sign up with this healing, that
everyone,
healing,
yeah.
so and so is offering, so and so is offering. And next thing I know, my inbox is full with all these Zoom calls that I'm going to attend. And it's like, if anything, it disconnected me from myself. It actually disconnected me from who I wanted to be. I
Mm,
became even more like in pursuit of something out there.
mm.
It didn't connect me with me. The more, other than facing is the best way. Facing your fears. Sit with your fear.
And there's a bit about it to do with discernment and consciousness. So you're discerning how you're behaving all the time,
Yeah.
and it takes you to a higher, it's like a higher level of intellect as opposed to just going through the motions, because you're taking a step back, you're looking at the lay of the land and seeing that, okay, this isn't mine. Look how I'm impacting my children or my work colleagues or my friends. And it just, yeah, very powerful.
It is. I mean, you can't neglect yourself
Mm,
and do better for other people. How? How is that possible? It's not
mm,
even logically possible.
mm,
You can't be there for other people by neglecting yourself.
yeah,
You can't pour from an empty cup.
yeah.
You have to fill up your own cup first. And it's not selfish, as it was taught back in the day. It was taught, oh, when you do things for yourself, it's selfish. No, it's the best thing you can do for the world by serving yourself first.
Mm,
It's a gift to
mm,
yourself.
mm,
And that's where connection is, the real connection, because you can't, if you want to have, like, okay, we were talking about source earlier on. You can't have connection with source when you are ignoring the beautiful gift the source, he, she, it has given you, the human
mm,
body,
mm,
the human self. How can you connect with him, it, her, without appreciating this?
mm.
So if you really want to serve the divine, you need to serve this first.
Lovely.
We're going on the spiritual tangent now.
Yes. That's kind of my modus operandi. I'm afraid to go on spiritual tangent, but I couldn't find a
I'm sorry,
website
Olga.
that
I don't have a
exists.
website as yet. I'll explain why. That's my shadow, where I wanted everything to be perfect. And that's why Mona's been asking me for 3 months, we need to do this chat. And I said, no, I haven't got a good website. I haven't got this. I haven't got that. So my shadows actually ran the show to say, no, nothing is perfect. So I'm not going to do the show. Now I have completed my book. That's one step is done. And the second step is for me to do my website. So I did not let my shadow run the show here. So yes, things are not perfect where I do not have a website. But if you do wish to learn about some of the work I do, this is other website I do have, which is, but it doesn't have anything about shadow work. Rising Hearts is one word.
Nice.
So being aware of my shadows here. I could have postponed this again to say another 3 months, let me get my website ready. But it was actually, in fact, the fear that I did not want to be here that was actually pushing me away.
Do you know what? You had a cough that reared itself 2 days before we were supposed to do this last week, and I did feel at the time that that's a mechanism that the body has to
defense mechanism
to protect itself. Yeah.
You're pretty
So
right.
yeah, I did feel that way, but we got on here eventually,
We did.
and it's not as hopefully not as bad as you thought.
I know. This is my first time ever, so any mistakes, excuse me.
No, you did a
Hi,
wonderful job.
Neetu.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say that sorry I was
Oh,
a
it's
bit
a
late. I just
D.
Yeah.
found out.
Oh,
Yeah.
D. Thank you. It doesn't
Yeah.
say your name.
I know. I need to change that. Mona's told me that. No, that was really insightful. Thank you so much. Even that, just that bit that I just caught as well. And I think that, shadow work is so important, and it's something that I'm constantly going through myself. And I love the fact, and this is something that has come up for me as well, it's that being perfect, right? That perfectionism. And that gets in the way for me too. And so I love seeing how, you know, when one person shows up just the way they are, gives permission for all of us to do the same.
Oh, thank you.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Perfectionism has been my biggest tool where it was self-sabotage, biggest. Everything needed to be perfect, crystal clear, perfect. But the less I use that, the more I accept myself, that part of myself. Because the reason that perfectionism comes, also, Dee, thank you for pointing it out, is because unless things were perfect, when we were children, we weren't praised. We won't belong. So we still have that sense of, I want to belong. So that's why things have to be perfect. But you will belong anyway. Once you've done this work on yourself and you say, okay, regardless if I don't belong there, I definitely belong here. I will not abandon myself just because the picture has got one dark cloud in it.
Perfectionism is overrated because often we are attracted and drawn to people who are real and who have those flaws. Do you know, I've got a nephew, no, a cousin, a younger cousin, who had crooked teeth. His fangs were somewhat forward. My daughter had the same, and they all went and had braces put in so their teeth are perfect. But I actually think no, those are your things that make you look like you. That you have a little crooked smile or whatever it is, and it's not just looks wise. I mean, in general, it's the imperfections in people that make them perfect to us. The perfect website doesn't appeal as much as the good heart and the work that we do or you do. So thank you.
No, that's right. It's also, I mean, the shadow work is mainly, I mean, I cannot say that enough. It's about acceptance. Accept yourself. If you really want to meet the divine, if you really want to touch the divine, if you really want to be in touch with the divine within self, you've got to accept all the bad parts, although I don't think they're bad parts, but you've got to accept those parts of you as well. Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, if there are no other comments, not that there were any from you guys today.
That can be a good sign or bad sign.
No, it's a good sign. We're going to take it as a good sign.
Yeah.
If in doubt, cheat, is what I always say.
No, it's been great. Absolutely great.
Okay, so I will post this recording, and I will also give Neetu's details out to anyone in the groups as soon as I get them ready. But thank you, Neetu, and thank you everyone else for joining us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Mona. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Now, you being here is a gift to yourself. What you do with the knowledge, explore with me, explore somewhere else, whatever you do, you're a gift to yourself. Accept it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, Neetu. Thank you, Mona.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Dee.
Bye,
Thanks.
bye, bye.
Thanks, Neetu.